Hello, everybody. It is Monday, March 17th, 2025, and we are live for a huge league update. It is the culmination of the BrokeFish Poker League, and it has been a wild week of action. We're going to have a lot to talk about today, but first, why don't we talk about something really important? Big wrestling update. So everybody knows Joe Hendry. People believe in him all over the world, right? They love him in London, Paris, Tokyo, America, Scotland, Canada, and Mexico. But will we see Joe Hendry take on the great John Cena? Now, this would be an amazing match to put the TNA champion up against one of the greatest of all time in wrestling. And as you all know, people in this poker league have an obsession with Joe Hendry. Someone would probably take all of their winnings that they had to just like go wherever that match is happening and go witness the great Joe Hendry um, take on the great John Cena. And I think this could be the match where it may this could be the John Cena retirement match, right? Before he decides to retire off, maybe he goes sort of out with a victory over the TNA champion, or perhaps it's like he loses sort of on the way out to kind of pass the baton from himself over to John Cena. And according to Slice, John Cena sucks. And you know what? A lot of people agree with him. A lot of people think John Cena is overrated. I think he's a great guy. But the real story here, though, is that Joe Hendry and John Cena, neither of them would stand a chance against Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Sunday was 316 day. And Austin 316 says, I will whoop your ass. And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. And if he had to take on Joe Hendry would be done. If he had took on John Cena, he could actually probably beat him if there's like a triple threat match and it was Stone Cold Steve Austin up against Joe Hendry, it would be amazing. And so that would be great. So, and we continue on here and we're looking at a couple of other things to talk about. So it was St. Patrick's Day today. And for those that are unaware, St. Patrick's Day is a great celebration of Irish heritage and culture. And basically, it's a boost to the economy because people celebrate. They start spending their money on things like Irish whiskey, Irish beer, like Guinness, corned beef, and cabbage. I'm sure there's other Irish things out there too, but those are kind of the big ones. If you go to any Irish pub, they've got the corned beef and cabbage, they got the Irish beer, they got the Irish whiskey. Oh, and by the way, our buddy Paylino is about to get banned from commenting on this stream because he's a known internet troll and apparently he's engaged in some dishonorable conduct lately. So yeah, we're gonna be giving him the old banaroo here. So goodbye, Paylino. You are gone. All right. So moving on to the next thing about St. Patrick's Day. In the poker world, we've got a lot of great Irish players, right? We got Dara O'Kearney, big Irish poker player. He's a nice guy. Again, he's done really well. He's won a lot of money playing poker. He's a great representative of Ireland in the poker world. And the Ireland does have a big event coming up in April. It's the Irish Poker Open. It's going to kick off on April 10. Has 1 million euros guaranteed in the prize pool in the first event. And that's going to be great because you got uh, a lot of money there that can be won. And by the way, for those who are not familiar with the euro, right? So 1 million euros in terms of like US dollars would be about 1,100,000 USD, give or take, right? These exchange rates fluctuate all the time. And under President Trump, our dollar may get even stronger. It may be the strongest dollar we've ever seen. In fact, they're talking about putting the president on a brand new bill. It would be a $250 bill that they would be putting President Donald John Trump on. And I think that's a little bit of a weird denomination. I think they should just bring back the 500 if they're going to put President Trump on a bill. Kind of weird to have this sort of 250 bill, right? Like it's like, oh, it replaces 2.5 hundreds. I don't really see the advantage here, but one of the things that you got to accept that we had so much inflation lately, we may need some larger bills for these things where people do cash if they're not going to replace it with like some sort of electronic mechanism. And some places that you can play poker and already have done that. They've got it where you can just take your credit card or debit card to the table and buy in, but not everyone does. So continuing on, our next topic that we're going to talk about the World Series of Poker circuit at Turning Stone is running right now. And actually, a lot of players that are in the BrokeFish Poker League have been a part of that league. And by the way, for this question here, I'm Matt. I work with the Poker League here. I also was the founder of the Poker Uncensored forum to give people the opportunity to talk without fear of persecution for their beliefs, even when they're controversial, right? People that say, oh, I should fold kings pre-flop in cash. Hey, you can come and talk about that there. You won't get banned for it. Other places, they'll be like, this guy's a phony and ban him. I've actually done it. I folded kings at a 1-2 game once. Guy who's a nit player, 5-bet, ripped his stack all in. I was like, well, he's either got aces or kings. And since I have kings, it's less likely that he has kings. And so I figured he had aces. And as a result of that, I decided to fold, and I was correct. And most of this table, they were astonished that somebody could actually fold kings, but that's just the level of skill that I play at. But a lot of league members, especially people up in the Northeast, they're at this World Series of Poker circuit at Turning Stone. And apparently, I sound American. That's because I'm from America, the best country on earth, and we're going to be even better. It's going to be great. I mean, we've got a country that we are headed on the path to prosperity. Finally, it's great. But a lot of our league members, they are at Turning Stone. You got people that said they never folded king spree in their life. Well, not everybody's that skilled. Not everybody can lay it down. I've actually called it off with kings before against aces. I did it at South Point in Las Vegas, Nevada, 2-3 NLH game. Had a nice stack of about, I think it was around 170 big blinds, and stacked it all off pocket kings into pocket aces. I just couldn't find the fold there. But, you know, in other circumstances, maybe if I had played with that player a bunch more and recognized that he was, only making that move with something like aces, I could have done it. So at Turning Stone, one congratulations out. So Timothy Don Fisher, who made the final two tables of event number 5, that was a black chip bounty. He's been a big player in the league. He's played tons of tournaments. He's not really ranked as highly in this season as he was in the first season, but there's a guy that definitely deserved to win. He plays a lot of skilled poker. And then another person that we all know up in the Northeast, Antonio Cristolini, the real underdog poker, right? Not the phony one who stole his photos to troll everybody, but the real guy, honorable guy, won over $43,000 for 4th place in event number 2, which was the mini main. So hopefully he doesn't spend that all at one time. Some people, they might head off to like the gentleman's club and just start making it rain or whatever, but it's a lot of money. I feel like you could have a fun night out for like 1/10 of that and then keep the rest for other stuff. Good luck to other people firing at this series. Chris Braden, Murray, they're all firing. Hopefully these guys win some rings. Nice hardware to put on. Can't go wrong with hardware. So the more the better. So getting into how the league works, right? So quick league update here. So the league runs through April 1st, 2025. Every week, the top 3 people get to pick prizes off the prize grid. So if you're in first place for the week, you get 2 picks. Second and third place get 1 pick. At the end of the month, the top 10 people for the month are going to get prizes, and then the overall league winners, which would be the top 3 in the league, will get more prizes. So in early April, there's going to be like a huge prize announcement because it's going to be like that last week, the top 3 getting prizes, the people for March getting their top 10 prizes, and then the overall league winners getting their prizes. So the whole prize grid will be basically completed out. So the unfortunate thing is whoever ends up being like, I think it's like number 10 for the month, you won't really get to choose anything from the prize grid because every other spot by then will be taken up, but you'll still have the opportunity to win. It's just that it's like, you don't really get a choice. It's just whatever prize nobody picked is going to be left at that point. And by the way, if you're looking to earn more points, you can actually do it right now. So the BrokeFish social ring games are going on. I believe there's 2550 Omaha and Hold'em going, and that's, by the way, should have a decimal point in it, so it's 0.25 small blind, 0.50 chips big blind, right? It's not like high stakes. It's more affordable. If you have 20 chips, you can get into this game. But if you profit 100 big blinds in that game, you'll earn a league point. Also, if you win satellites, you'll earn a league point, and those stack. So if you win your 5th satellite, that's 5 points. If you win your 6th satellite, that's 6 points. That goes up to a maximum of 10. And then if you cash tournaments, you can do that. So, if you play, I think this week there is a 500,000 guaranteed event going, right? And if you were to win that thing and you win $75,000 or something, you're going to get a ridiculous amount of league points off that, and you're going to probably win the week, right? So that event, by the way, I think every night this week there's a flight, and then on the weekend they're going to have everybody who makes it to day two combine together and play out. So going to be an awesome, awesome tournament. I might play it myself, and if I play it, I'm playing to win. So you guys better watch out. You'll be competing for second place. So the way these prizes work, right? So here's the prize grid. Everything that's in white is a spot that's left. People basically, when they win the opportunity to get a prize, they're going to say, I want a space. For example, somebody might say they want A7, and then that'll be revealed. Um, so that's how it works. But before we get into that, let's talk about a new poker themed lottery offering. So Wildcard Poker is a new lottery offering in New Hampshire. It's a $3 ticket where basically you just need to have a poker hand that beats the dealer. So I think these are, this can be fun, right? You can win a little money. Like you're not going to win like $1 million off this, right? Like the prizes range from like $3 to like 50,000. But you can have a little fun, do a little scratching, and I actually picked a couple of these up earlier today. One card I couldn't make a pair at all, and I lost the dealer. Just they had like a pair of nines. I had my best hand was like an ace high. The second card though, I had three of a kinds on like multiple hands. So there's like I think 8 different hands or something that you get to try to go for. Um, and so I had three of a kinds. I had two pairs. I had pair of kings. Like I was feeling good. These were decent hands to go. But sadly, I scratched hard and got sucked out on because the dealer had the straight. So it was no good. Didn't win any money. That was a punt of $3. And now, unfortunately, I don't know how I'm going to afford breakfast tomorrow. So that's how it's going. By the way, congratulations to 61 Tribbin. He got second place in the big $5 daily on Club GG. So that's great. It's always nice when you pick up a win. And somebody wants to know how much money they have to raise for me to box Slice. Look, I can't do it because it would basically be a homicide, right? I would go out there and I would box him. He'd probably get knocked out so hard that he ends up dead, and then I'd end up in jail for I don't know, murder in the second degree, maybe. Actually, that might be a manslaughter. It might be voluntary. I don't know if it, we'll have to consult with an attorney on what that would be if you actually punch someone out so hard in a boxing match they died. But I think it may actually just be manslaughter. But still, I wouldn't want to end up in the penitentiary because it's not a fun place, and some bad stuff goes on there. You can read all about it on the internet. Just kind of look up like bad things that happen to people in jail, and you'll find the stories. It's not fun. So 61 Trippin says, yeah, it would be manslaughter. I believe manslaughter can carry, well, this is going to depend on the state, but in some states you can actually carry up to like 10 years in the penitentiary, which is probably not fun. So it's 10 years of having other men look at you in not the ideal way that you'd want to be looked at. So it's not fun. So anyway, on to the prize reveal. So last week we actually had a tie when it came down to the prize situation, and that's because Platinum Pimp and Kyle 4116 had the same number of points. So those two had to battle it out heads up to see who was going to win. Platinum won it. He's obviously, I guess, slightly more skilled, and he won. He chose spot E3, and so he has won a $5 satellite ticket. So that is basically what he is going to um, be able to do, which is pretty awesome. So he'll get that added to his account. So continuing on here, so the next thing we're going to talk about, our favorite topic on this stream. So we're going to talk about Grant Ellis, right, The Bachelor. So the overnight dates took place on tonight's episode of The Bachelor, and I feel like Grant had the strongest connection with Juliana. Now, I'm not going to unveil what happened because our friends on the West Coast, places like California and Washington State, they haven't seen this episode yet, but we are down to the final two. It is going to be interesting. Next week is the season finale, Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC and Hulu, along with the After the Final Rose show. Now, Monday night, there won't be any action in BrokeFish Social. The chairman's decided to cancel those games to facilitate allowing everybody in the club to basically be able to attend the various watch parties that are going on. And so that's what's going to be happening. I think there's a watch party that some of the team is going to be attending, which should be good. So if anyone's interested in that, reach out to us and maybe you can join us. You can sit down, watch The Bachelor, maybe get a cocktail or something like that, and have a nice fun time. So it'll be great. And again, I think we're going to see a really interesting episode on Monday. So Grant's going to have a very tough decision. This is a guy who's conflicted, right? He's in love with multiple women at the same time, and he doesn't exactly know what he wants to do here. So, he's going to have to decide what's going on, and does he ultimately get to that point where he is confident enough to make a proposal? Is that going to happen? Or does he end up alone at the end of this, right? There's a lot of possibilities, and we're going to find out Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, live on ABC. So that's how it's going to go. Continuing on, let's talk about who won first place. So it was a closer battle out this week than before, but somehow Mambo Man once again took first place, and he got 146 points, and he had stricken ill. So he actually beat everybody despite having stricken ill. So everybody else in the league literally cannot beat a guy who struck ill and was not playing at like peak performance, and you guys still couldn't beat him. So I don't know what's going on. Like either this guy's super good or everybody else is terrible. I don't know, because he just keeps winning, winning and winning and winning. But he chose two picks off the grid for winning. He picked I1 and I2. And so we'll reveal what he gets, and that is a BrokeFish trading card standard, and actually second BrokeFish trading card standard. So he's getting two trading cards. No idea what he's going to choose. We'll have to find out about that yet. So let's see here. Did you say stricken ill? Yes, I did say stricken ill. So AKA took sick, AKA caught the flu, whatever he had. I don't know if he had the flu. Could have been COVID. It could have been the flu. Hey, maybe he's been picking up tons of ladies, and he caught some sort of some sort of other disease. I don't know. But stricken ill seemed to work. Apparently, is that Old English? Presumably, yeah, it came from Old English. Does he have dysentery? I don't know. Could be that. By the way, somebody asked me if we've played the Oregon Trail. I played the Oregon Trail. Unfortunately, yeah, people back then, they got dysentery. It wasn't a fun time. A lot of people died from that. It's one of the reasons it's important to make sure that when you're drinking water, it's coming from a clean supply. Um, you know, Cholera also can spread through unclean water, and it's not a good thing. So, most of America, we don't have to worry about this. But if you decide to go play poker in some of these other countries out there, you got to watch out. Make sure that, a lot of poker players try to be all cheap. You don't want to be cheap. Just, spend the 50 pesos or whatever it costs to get the bottled water. Because if you just decide to like drink from some random supply of water, you may not be having a fun time. It's not good. So let's see here. So moving on to the next thing here, we're actually going to talk about a poker hand, right? So yeah, this is predominantly, even though we discussed The Bachelor and St. Patrick's Day, right? This is predominantly a poker-oriented live stream. So why don't we talk about a poker hand? This comes from a ring game. It's a 1-3 no limit Texas Hold'em game. You're under the gun and you open a 15, holding the queen of clubs and the jack of clubs, all at a $600 stack. Action's going to fold to the button. They call. They've got a $250 stack. Small blind is going to call. The big blind is going to 3-bet to $45 off of a $500 stack. So we've got that 3-bet coming here. Now you decide to 4-bet it up to 180. This is a little bit of a light 4-bet, right? You do have suited connectors, right? You do have two Broadways, but a lot of the hands that could be 3-betting might be ahead. Everybody folds. Everybody folds. So is this something where you made a mistake, right? Did you deny yourself value? Or was it a smart move to just pick up this pot right here pre-flop and win it right there? Because essentially now what you've done, right? So you had the button, you had the small blind putting in 15, you had the 45 from the big blind. And so effectively, you've got a $75 pot here, which you've taken down, right? So you've made $75 here. And you could have maybe made more, right? If they called your 4-bet, right, you end up with a much larger pot. But the question is this a pot that you win if it goes past the flop, right? Or are you going to lose? So, was it a smart move? What do people think here? So let's see here. Oh, look, the old troll group has decided to show up and start trolling again. Fun time, but they're going to be bye-bye. All right, so Squidmodo says, hey, this is where you can get scratch ticket strategy, bachelor talk, old English, the Oregon hand history, and a hand history all on one time, right? And that's what we like to do here. We like to mix it up, give people some variety. Anybody got thoughts on this hand, right? Was this a mistake? Did you deny yourself value? Anyone got thoughts before I give my thoughts on it? Let's see here. All right. Well, here's my thoughts, right? So I think four betting here can be a good move. Now, the problem is if somebody five bet rips it all in, except for the button, maybe you're probably just gonna have to fold, right? With the button, you could probably just like be like, you know what, I'm gonna like call off the extra 70. Maybe not the best move, but you could do that. But I think if you get five bet, let's say there's an all in from the big blind, the three better with the 550 stack, they probably have something that's got you beaten. And we've got a lot of people saying you should fold free, right? Chairman says to fold free. 61 Trippin says to fold. Um, so that probably could have been the best move, right? So to basically look at, Queen Jack suited, right? It's an okay hand, but why would you want to open that deeply? Is the question. And actually, that's what the chairman's saying. Why would I be opening Queen Jack suited under the gun nine handed this deep? Easier ways to make money. And that's probably true, right? From early position, you may not want to open this here now. If this was a six max table, it might make sense to open it up, but nine handed, probably no. So I think that that's probably the first mistake, right? Is just playing that under a gun like that. But once you've done that, probably the only way that you really had a chance to win this hand is by making that four bet, and just getting lucky that the big blind didn't have something like, if they had kings, if they had queens, if they had aces, if they had ace king suited, they probably just get it in. Um, so somebody's saying, as played, the four bet is very sick depending on your table image. And yeah, if you had a tight table image, right, you could actually four bet light and induce folds because people are just going to think like, oh, this guy's got like kings, right? If he's like super tight and like, anytime he's three bet, he's shown like queens or better or ace king, they might be like, all right, he's four betting, he's got something good. But ultimately, it's better to win small pots than it is to lose big ones, right? So if you bet and everybody folds, you win that pot right there. So, here we win a $75 profit. Now, is it better to win 75 or to lose, 180, right? What's the better thing to do here? And obviously winning 75 is going to be better. So continuing on to um, the next thing here, let's talk about the big issue that's in poker, and that is cheating. So one of the big problems we have is rampant doping in the poker world. And the problem here is this is actually both live and online. Players are cheating to gain an advantage by abusing prescription drugs, one of these being amphetamine salts. Amphetamine salts, commonly known as Adderall, right? It's basically mixed together various amphetamine salts. Now, Adderall comes in a couple different versions. You have extended release ones, and then you've got immediate release ones. There's also generic versions of this that are much cheaper than the name brand of Adderall. Essentially, the extended release, that capsule, when it gets into your body, it sort of dissolves up slowly, whereas immediate release is meant to be fast. But the thing with these drugs is that they were intended for people who have issues like attention deficit disorder. And what ends up happening is poker players, they are trying to improve their focus. They're trying to be able to play longer by abusing these drugs. So this is a big problem. And really, nobody wants to solve it. And one of the reasons for this is the pharmaceutical industry. They don't care if you're using it legitimately or not because they make money regardless. When you've got people getting, essentially tricking the doctors into giving them prescriptions for, um, these sort of drugs so that they can gain an advantage at poker, companies that are making these products are still making money, right? Whether you have ADHD or you're just like, oh, I need an advantage when I go play a poker tournament or I go grind away at the 2-5 game, that's going to happen. And so, what can be done to curb this problem, right? Do we need to start looking at anti doping regulations for poker? We have it for things like, if you look at the Olympics, right? Olympic swimmers, they get caught doping, they get disqualified, they get banned. You look at, sports like, the NBA or the NFL, they have policies against doping. Poker, nobody seems to really care. It seems like, anything goes. If you want to dope, you can dope. If you want to cheat at that, you can do it. And this isn't the only drug, right? There are other drugs out there people are using to basically be able to better focus, to gain an advantage over their opponents. And ultimately, most poker players, they just want to play a fair game. And do you have to go and somehow get amphetamines to be able to play and to be able to have a fair game because everybody else is doing it? And somebody says that these amphetamines are not a PED. Well, they literally are, right? They actually improve a poker player's ability to play poker. Now, it's not like magically you're suddenly going to get these like hero reads and realize some guy's bluffing the river with jack high and be able to like correctly call with like bottom pair. It's not like that, but it improves focus and allows for people to not end up getting tired over time. And so that ends up happening. And by the way, apparently Squidmodo is a big fan of smoking the Fent at the table. He says it relaxes him. Well, I haven't played in a poker room that allowed smoking in a while, but I guess if people want to smoke a little Fent, they can do that. That's probably not recommended. Um, and by the way, Adderall is likely banned in all pro sports. So indeed, it is. Now there are some exceptions for people. There's certain policies that are in place for people that they legitimately need to have these medications for things like um, let's say attention deficit disorder, are able to utilize them, but that goes through medical review and stuff like that, which obviously in like cash poker game, there's really no opportunity to do that because cash poker, a lot of players are not going to be at the table for an extended period of time. You may have people that they show up and they only play for a half hour while they're on lunch break and then they leave. Probably not going to also logistically, right, be able to go through and do like the whole like process of like testing to make sure these people aren't doping, but it is definitely a big problem. Um, so I guess everybody's wanting to see what the next prize coming up is. So why don't we move on to that? So for second place, that was Pass the Sugar 05. Now he had 122 points, and that secured him a great prize, D2, that is a standard trading card. So we will get that card sent out. And by the way, when you win the standard trading card, you've got some options to choose from, right? So you can get the Ivy card, you can get the Negranu card, you can get the Polk card. You can also get, as one of the standard trading cards, um, the you can get the Mike Postle card, the Binion's Horseshoe card, and the Jennifer Tilly card. And you know, if anyone, by the way, who has earned a prize here obviously scored at least 1 point, so that means that they also are eligible to get the Stewie the Kid card. And that's not their prize. That's just anyone who scored a point. So, like, if you won, obviously, like Pat Sugar, if he's like, oh, yeah, I want the Phil Ivey card, right? He'll get that one plus the Stu card. Um, so, oh, apparently we're lighting the Apostle cards on fire. I guess people aren't a big fan of those, or we're shredding them. So, all right. So, when are we scheduling? So, I guess we're scheduling the BrokeFish bonfire, in which we're going to take the Mike Postle cards and light them on fire or whatever. Um, so it's going to be interesting. Well, continuing on to the next thing here. So for the weekly prize, in third place, which is an amazing win here. And by the way, I screwed this up because it's showing the reveal before I announced the player that won it. But 89 points that went to Bo Punter, and he's won a full set of BrokeFish trading cards. By the way, um, we forward too fast, but full set of BrokeFish trading cards. I believe he won a full set of BrokeFish trading cards on a prior one. So now he's got two full sets. Also, somebody's asked for shirtless pics. Look, this is a poker podcast. If you want to look at gay porn, you can go to a different website. I believe that there's probably one called like shirtlessgayguys.net or something like that that's out there. You can probably go onto the internet and like use like a search engine, maybe good old DuckDuckGo or Bing or something like that, and just go like shirtless guys and you can like grab them and look at them. So anyway, let's see if any of you's got any great questions here. So any questions, anyone? And by the way, you can earn even more points tonight. Somebody wants shirtless picture of the prime minister. Well, fortunately, Justin Trudeau is no longer the Prime Minister of Canada. Brian Carney has taken over, and I don't know if there's shirtless pictures of Mr. Carney out there, but maybe we can request one of our Canadian players investigate that matter and figure out if there are any. So let's see here. Squidmodo wants to see the Prime Minister shirtless. Look again, we got to talk to the Canadians and see if they can do that. Maybe they can find out if Mr. Carney is doing that. Oh wait, apparently they don't like him. Carney's a scumbag. Nobody voted for him. All right. Well, if nobody voted for him, how the hell did he end up the prime minister then? So obviously, people voted for the guy, or whatever. But I do hear there's a nice conservative by the name of Pierre looking to run against him now. Whether he wins or not, different story. Um, so, and then see, find them for next Monday's 8-hour stream for real player games. Remember, next Monday is the finale of The Bachelor, so there won't be a game on Monday night because everybody's gonna be watching that. So do we have any questions, anybody? Because I'll take the questions until people have no more questions left to ask. I'm not scared in the media, unlike some people. Want the hard hitting questions. You give them. I'm not scared of them. So, oh yes. So, right. Nobody voted him. There was no election. Trudeau stepped down. But then the Liberals, when the Liberals decided who to put in place, they voted for Mr. Carney, who was the former Bank of Canada / Bank of England governor, because yes, he governed over the banks in basically the central banks of like two major world economies. So, see, somebody asked if I'll play PLO. I'm no longer allowed to play PLO. I was too skilled. I won too much money. I stacked too many players. And so, for the good of the American people, I am retired from online PLO. That way, everybody else has a fair opportunity to make some money instead of it all coming to me. So then, let's see. Why is Limp Call Media banned from chat? That's not very pro First Amendment. It's because they're trolls and they spread fake news, and fake news is not going to be tolerated on here. Look, if you want to tell the truth, that's cool, but when you're spewing the fake news all over the place, it's no good. Let's see. We got 61 Trippin saying, "Bro, I play every night and I've never seen you win $1." I won like 400 big blinds the other day. It was because people just couldn't fold any draws. They would just call everything off, and when my hands actually held up, I was able to make some profit. That's how I earned some league points. Unfortunately, I didn't earn 122 to win a prize. So let's see. Anything else? Anyone? Any questions? Let's see here. Oh, look at this. We've got, let's see. Oh, somebody's saying that they want to go to Texas. Well, God blessed Texas with his own hands. He brought down angels from the promised land, and he gave them a place where they could dance. And if you want to see heaven, brother, there's your chance. By the way, Little Texas, great country music band. I've been known to sing it at karaoke. And hey, maybe for you Austin, Texas folks, you'll see me down there this summer. I may have to see if my horse is available to ride on into town. That's just a joke. I know you guys don't really. Well, actually, some of you do in Texas ride around on horses, but down there they have cars, and people in Texas, they love American made, and I love American made cars. Fords and Chevrolets and other things like that. These imported cars, we got to stop buying. It's going to just be, it's bad for our economy. Oh, but apparently the all-in or fold game is running. So this is one of the new things Club GG rolled out. It is the all-in or fold game. Literally, those are your two options. You can either ship your entire stack all in, or you can fold. I think it's a minimum of 10 big blinds to join. And basically, if you lose, you're topped back up automatically for the next hand. And then you can decide if you want to ship it in or fold. We've seen people run, I think, 10 big blinds up to like 300 in this game before. It's totally a fun time. Now, people say, oh, these all in or fold games, they don't require any skill. It's just gambling. There actually is a skill to it. And if you are looking, it's the skill set is a little bit different than your typical game because there's no post flop play. So you don't have any decisions to make post flop. But apparently we got somebody bitching about censorship. Well, when you spread fake news, the fake news is going to be deleted. So maybe if you learn to tell the truth, Joe Frizzy, then you won't have to have your account get banned from the stream. And by the way, you should stop pandering to your little buddy Paylino, because that guy one day is going to be in trouble. He's going to end up in the penitentiary. And when he ends up there, he's going to have not such a fun time. So continuing on, anybody have any other questions? Stop it. There is no skill. No, there is skill in the all in or fold game, right? So basically, because your stack depth is relatively small, right? Your decisions become easier. But the thing is as that game continues on, you might have people that build up larger stacks. So you could be in the all in or fold game, and you might have three people that are like 200 big lines deep. And at that point, there's actual sort of decision making that needs to go in. If you have two people that have shipped it all in, the range that you can then profitably ship all in will be narrower compared with 200 big blinds compared to having something like, um, you know, 10 big blinds, right? And that's how it would actually work out. So there's skill that goes into it, right? Mathematically, there are certain times when you should shove your stack all in versus not. And the people that don't understand this are probably losing players, right? These are guys that you know, when it comes to online poker, like every night they're like, oh, hey, can I load up like, 50 big blinds? And then come 10 o'clock, they don't have anything left in their stack. And then the next day they're like, hey, can I load up 50 big blinds? And then, come 10 o'clock, they don't have anything left in their stack. So, the people that actually like know how to play poker understand that there's skill set here. And those people, those are the ones that like, they're like, hey, can I load up 50 big blinds? And they do it. And then they end the night with like 600. So, the people that are skilled, they know what to do. Oh, somebody's telling me don't make fun of losing players. Well, hey, if you're a losing player, you can actually become a winning player, right? So your skill set is not something that's fixed. It's not like if you're a bad player today, you're going to be bad for the rest of your life. And one of the ways that you can improve, your poker game, you can actually read things, right? You can listen to these hand histories that I'm going through and kind of understand stuff like that. You can do training online. You could actually buy books. So believe it or not, so I was at the Brookline Booksmith the other day, right? And for those that are, maybe our younger crowd doesn't realize it, but there are these things that get printed with like actual text on pieces of paper. And paper, this is this thing that like they would chop down trees to make. But you can actually get these like physical books and read them. And there are several that explain how to play better poker. So Doyle Brunson, famous poker player, he wrote one. Um, there's also ones David Slansky wrote one. Dan Harrington wrote one, and these are guys that they've won seven figures playing poker, right? And so if a lot of times people are like, oh, the poker books are stupid. Well, if the people that are writing these poker books have made seven figures playing, and you're a continually losing player, maybe you should listen to the people that have made seven figures. We're looking at investing, something like 14.99 to 22.95 to buy a couple of poker books, right? And you could get a lot of return. So, again, I'm not trashing the players, right? I'm saying that you've got losing players, but they could always improve and become winners. And likewise, winning players can always decline themselves and become losers. So someone who just decides, oh, I'm a great poker player, I don't need to do any studying anymore, they're going to get surpassed by everybody because the strategy that you use to win today versus say the strategy you used to win in like let's say 1972 is a little bit different, right? The style play is different. The just level of intelligence that people had at poker is different. GTO strategy didn't really exist when you think about like poker in like the 70s and the 80s, right? That wasn't really a thing. And now you've got GTO strategy like crazy to the point where actually people are cheating with it by using real-time assistants to decide what to play. So somebody said they bought 5 books, they learned them poker. Well, you know what? Maybe your 6th book that you pick up this week should be a poker book. So you can study some more and play better poker, win more money. Um, you know, some people play poker for the challenge, some people play it for the money. Ultimately, if you want to get better and move up to more challenging stakes, you've got to improve your skill set. So, anyone have any final questions before we wrap this stream up? It's time to it's time if you're on the West Coast, it's time to go watch The Bachelor, actually. Um, so let's see here. What if a winning player finds yourself stricken out? So this is actually an interesting concept, right? So um, you know, so you're a winning player, you get sick, and you're not at the peak of your game. What do you do? Well, obviously, the smart solution here, right? If you're playing live poker, is just say, you know what, I'm sick. I'm not going to go to the poker room because one, you're then going to make the other people in the poker room sick, which is probably not good. And two, if you're a winning player and you're ill and you're not playing at the peak of your game, you're you're losing some of your advantage in terms of being a skilled player because you're not at the peak of your game. So in that sense, it makes sense to take some time off and rest and then come back and play poker when you're in good shape, right? It's not like if you don't go play poker tonight, the poker room is going out of business and they're not going to be there a week from now. And similarly, online poker now, I actually had quit online poker at one point. I came back to it when I had gotten sick with the COVID-19 disease. And I was like, well, I'm stuck home. And I wasn't severely ill. Right? It was a mild case of COVID, but I was still going to be stuck home for 5, 6 days. So I said, you know what, I'll try playing a little online poker. I actually made some money. I feel like if I had been at, full sort of peak, I probably would have made a little bit more. But the best thing to do is just take a break. Or, if you're like, oh, you're bored because you're stuck home, like, if you normally, let's say, are a 2-5 player, maybe just sort of like punt around with like lower stakes, play like the 2 cent, 4 cent game or something like that instead. It's a good idea. Just being sure it'll change your reverse implied odds. It does not. So your reverse implied odds are just really going to be based on stack depths and what's going on in the hand. And remember, you can limit your reverse implied odds by buying in for the minimum. So if you only have 50 big blinds, the most you can lose is 50 big blinds. It doesn't matter if everybody else has 200 or 300 big blinds, but let's say you have 400 big blinds. Well, the most you can lose is either going to be your 400 big blinds or the largest stack at the table, right? So if like you have 400 big blinds, but nobody has more than 200, then you can't lose 400 big blinds. You can only lose 200 in a hand. And so you're going to have to look at those sort of reverse implied odds. So it's been a good evening, everybody. We're going to wrap this stream up. Hope everybody has a good time. Remember, you can earn some more points in the BrokeFish social ring games. It's running right now.